itself, it doesn't change the fact that they made a shit ton of money off of it. Today's episode is sponsored by Mint Mobile. Everyone has that one friend who's just stuck in their ways, right? Maybe they don't like change. They haven't updated the operating system on their phone in years because their phone still works, so why change it? Or they're paying for a subscription that they don't really use because they've had it for a long time and, well, I can afford it. Just because you can afford to pay more doesn't mean that you should be, because that used to be me. I was paying way too much for wireless until I started using Mint Mobile, and then I realized, boy, was I wrong. No drop calls, all the same unlimited features I had before, but for a fraction of the price. What was I thinking? Stop paying way too much for wireless just because that's how it's always been. Mint is here to fix that. Same coverage, same speed, but without the inflated price tag. You get unlimited talk, text, and data, but for far less than what others charge. And for a limited time, get 50% off 3, 6, or 12-month plans of unlimited premium wireless. Bring your own phone and number. Activate with eSIM in minutes and start saving right away. No long-term contracts and no hassle. With a 7-day money-back guarantee and customer satisfaction ratings in the mid-90s, Mint makes it easy to try it and see why people don't go back. As someone who's been a Mint user, I can tell you the money I've saved each month by using them, instead of my old provider, with the high quality of service that they offer, was an eye-opener. And it will be for you too. Ready to stop paying more than you have to? New customers can make the switch today and for a limited time get unlimited premium wireless for just $15 per month. Switch now at mintmobile.com/Salamonster. That's mintmobile.com/Salamonster. Up for a payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 a month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Over 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. Additional terms apply. See mintmobile.com. Raw on Monday night was a bore, and SmackDown had a few things I liked, but I'm still waiting for the on-ramp to the supposed road to WrestleMania. I'm waiting for it to get really interesting. I suspect I'll be waiting until after the Elimination Chamber plays out and when Roman Reigns returns to TV. LA Knight, he continues to feud with The Vision. 8 months after he started, he is no better off for it now than he was before. In fact, he walked out there on Monday to challenge them to a 6-man tag team match with the Usos, where he proceeded to get his ass kicked for most of it, and then his team lost. Now we wait for Brock Lesnar to emerge from his lair tomorrow night. What he'll be doing and why he is there 5 days before the Elimination Chamber, we don't know. They did not advertise him or mention him on TV at all, only on their social media a few weeks ago. Yeah, that came right from WWE. This is not just internet rumors. On the WWE Twitter account, they said, hey, February 23rd in Atlanta, the Beast is back. And they haven't said anything about it ever since. You know, on a show with one final chamber qualifier tomorrow for the men and one for the women. And the men's qualifier has Jey Uso, Bronson Reed, and El Grande Americano Gable. Forget Gable. And I think Frost Reed off the list. He's the one lone member of the Vision left to be screwed over by the Masked Man. Right, he stomped out Logan Paul on Monday, the Masked Man did. He already screwed Bron Breakker out of the Royal Rumble match. I think the Masked Man cost Bronson Reed his qualifier tomorrow, which leaves Jey Uso. And if this lineup stays as is, then I think Jey qualifies. But I am still hung up on Brock being there this week of all weeks. Like, there's got to be a good reason for it. And I'm wondering, here's what I'm wondering. Okay, follow along with me here. I'm wondering if Gable gets taken out of the match by Lesnar and Brock ends up taking his spot and winning to get him that last spot in the men's chamber. So a rare in-ring TV appearance for the Beast. And that gets Brock into the chamber with Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, LA Knight, Javon Evans, and Trick Williams. Qualified on Friday over Carmelo Hayes and Damian Priest. And with Brock in the chamber, they can kickstart his feud for WrestleMania, if this is in fact the plan, with LA Knight. Because that was the rumor last week. Dave reported it in The Observer, and I think it's got legs. Where there is smoke, I believe there is fire. Look, Obafemi wrestled Kit Wilson for the second time on SmackDown this week. He already has a match lined up next Friday with The Miz. And they were teasing something with him and Rusev on Raw last Monday when they ran into each other in the back. Call me crazy, but I'm not getting the sense that he's wrestling Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania this year. Now, they're also advertising AJ Styles for a tribute in Atlanta tomorrow night, his home state of Georgia. They're even flying in talent from SmackDown to be a part of it. Gunther's chamber hopes were dashed by Dragon Lee in his match on Monday. And I had secondhand embarrassment for Dragon Lee coming out to no reaction to blast Gunther in the head with the ring bell, which led to Javon Evans picking up the win over Dominic Mysterio. So he's in the chamber. They're building to a Gunther Dragon Lee match, and I don't know if it's going to be added to the Elimination Chamber card because, again, Paul Levesque is allergic to putting a fifth match on this show, or if it'll be a Raw match. But they could use the segment with AJ tomorrow to help make that match feel like a bigger deal. You know, Gunther crashing the ceremony, to me that feels like a given. And, you know, I've been racking my brain trying to figure out, like, what is the play for Gunther at WrestleMania? Now, I've heard names mentioned for potential opponents for him. There's still some people who think him and Randy Orton could be a WrestleMania match. Him and Rey Mysterio could be a WrestleMania match. And I'm like, That's my reaction, But maybe the play for Gunther at WrestleMania is staring us right in the face. Now, look, I get that it would be a cheap way around the retirement stipulation at the Royal Rumble. But what if they ran it back at WrestleMania? With Gunther and AJ Styles, but this time they run it back as an unsanctioned match. Like, I'm just looking at potential attractions for the show, okay? AJ coming back to try to get revenge on Gunther, not in an official match, would be a nice hook for WrestleMania. And it would give AJ a proper send-off on the biggest stage possible, win or lose. You know, WWE, they put out a 20-minute vlog on their YouTube channel a few days ago. They were following AJ around ahead of his Royal Rumble match with Gunther. And in that video, he admitted that everybody wants to retire at WrestleMania, and he was planning on doing exactly that until he got hurt. That was in October of 2024. He had that SmackDown match with Carmelo Hayes. He injured his foot. He had that Liz Frank injury. I think it was like a ligament injury, but it's like right in the middle of your foot, and it's a very painful, very difficult injury to recover from, and it takes time. You got to be patient. And he was only out for a few months, but by the time he came back, they were 2 months out from WrestleMania, where he, in his mind, months earlier, had decided, okay, we're going to do a little retirement thing and call it quits at Mania. But now he comes back. There's only 2 months left, and he said he felt like it didn't feel right to come back just for 2 months and then retire. So then he started thinking, well, you know, what better way to go out than on the pay-per-view where I debuted? Now, it may be wishful thinking on my part, but I do think that would be a good way around the retirement stipulation from the Rumble, but have him actually retire at WrestleMania. That's when the gloves come off at the very end, and he lays them down on the mat. And I know, so Solomonster's talking crazy again. Brock Lesnar wrestling on Raw, AJ Styles getting that Mania send-off. I can't help it, it's how my brain works. But then there's the crate. We have to talk about the crate. The mystery crate that showed up on Raw Monday night. Adam Pearce didn't know what to make of it. But on the crate, it says, delivered to WWE. Do not open until 2/28/26, which happens to be this Saturday, the date of the Elimination Chamber. And he told Eli, the delivery guy, to ship the crate to SmackDown, let Nick Aldis deal with it. And Aldis didn't want to deal with it either on Friday, and he told them, get rid of it. Triple H and his mystery angles. Like, we literally had them in back-to-back segments on Monday night. You had the Masked Man and then the mystery crate. Like, in the Levesque household, when the kids ask mom and dad, hey, what's for dinner? Like, no matter what day of the week it is, you can bet it's a mystery meat night. Like, last year, TKO was worried about slow ticket sales, so they called The Rock to save the Elimination Chamber. That's save the Elimination Chamber. I mean, they still had fucking probably 28,000 tickets sold. You know, but if we don't have 31 or 32, it's a failure. So fucking Ari Emanuel gets on the phone to call The Rock personally and say, hey, we need you.
We should be safe when we're on the
And so it ends up with, Cody Soul. That was the whole thing last year, was Cody Soul. Now it's the mystery crate. And look, it's a hook. It's a hook for the show, and people are talking about it online. And it's not one that's being really focused on, if you'll notice, from Monday and Friday. It's being treated as sort of a comedy thing in the background, which probably rules out a big name popping out of there. I mean, really, no name should be popping out of there. It's a fucking crate. And the idea that Chris Jericho would be in there for 12 days with nothing more than a bottle of water and a box of Pop-Tarts is absurd. Unless they pry the damn thing open and his dead body falls out of it. But if it is a person, it will not be Chris Jericho, based on the latest update that we have from Fightful Select, which is reporting that the belief from those around Jericho, so they have not been told that this is the way it is, that's not confirmed, but the belief from those around Jericho and in AEW is that his contract was frozen after he took time off from the company in 2025. Now, Variety had reported in October of 2022 that Jericho signed a 3-year extension, which would include increased responsibilities behind the scenes, and that he would now serve as a producer and creative advisor, with the deal keeping him in AEW through December of 2025. But Jericho is still listed on the roster page on the AEW website. Whereas when someone's deal is up, usually like with Powerhouse Hobbs, they're pulled from the page right away. Jericho was never pulled. Now look, promoters have frozen contracts before. Usually it's due to injuries. WWE did it with Rey Mysterio many years ago. If you're gone long enough, they could tack time on to the end of your contract. I think that was the situation with Rey Fenix in AEW. And I can understand it maybe in certain circumstances. If there's an injury that is so bad it lasts for like the majority of someone's contract. Like if you have a 2-year contract and you're out for 18 months with a terrible injury, you know what? I get it. And you're being paid the entire time. I get it. Or if you have an injury that, again, it's multiple injuries and it eats up most of the time in your contract like a recurring problem. But generally speaking, I think it's a pretty shitty thing to extend their deals out like that. Or even worse, if they're healthy and they can be used, but they're not being used for some reason. Like that was my issue with people like Rey Fenix and Ricky Starks in AEW, where they weren't even being used. They were sitting on the bench. Ricky finally started popping up on some indies. In Jericho's case, if it was his choice to leave and take time off and go on tour with Fozzy and film movie roles and do whatever he was doing, there may well be a clause in his contract that accounts for this kind of stuff, right? But that would have been his choice. It's not like he got hurt and he had to be sidelined for 6 months with an injury. So if it was his choice, then I have less sympathy and I can understand it. Hey, I think I'm going to go take 9 months off. I'll still get paid, but I think I'm going to take some time off here. And then I'll leave and I'll go to WWE. Like, yes, I can understand AEW freezing or extending his deal if that's how it played out, but we don't know. Right, we're just speculating here. We don't know. We don't know what the deal was, or for how much longer he will remain under contract to AEW. But it will not be him inside that crate. I said the only way that this makes any sense is if the reveal is for someone or something silly, and then you guys in the live chat on Monday, you start shouting at me, Danhausen, Danhausen. And you reminded me, I remember now that Danhausen's AEW deal was set to expire this month. Now, he had wanted out of his deal earlier if they weren't going to use him, and they refused to let him go, supposedly. And that's bullshit, by the way. I don't agree with that at all. If you have no plans for the man, then just let him walk. I mean, it's not like we're talking about someone who's going to move the needle here. We're not talking about Jericho. We're not talking about Jon Moxley or Kenny Omega. We're talking about fucking Dan